Well then, it's time for the fastest US stock market commentary in Japan. Recently, I've had trouble with the start live stream button on YouTube not working properly. There was a strange sound just now, but let's put that aside. Today is a tough one. I'm talking about Anthropic's quarterly revenue, and there's a story that sales have increased 2.5 times for the commercial machines. I forgot the exact number for the year, but I think it was something like 47 times. I believe it will show up in the chart above. Well, if that's the case, then things like inflation or crude oil prices don't really matter, so I thought it might be a good buy. I did buy a little bit of Nvidia though. Semiconductor stocks are booming at a faster pace than expected, and that's where things stand right now. I think this will probably continue. Personally, that's how I feel. Meanwhile, long-term interest rates are rising, which seems pretty risky, so it's a tough situation. Good morning, Mr. Akifuranka Haima, and also Mr. Nokotaka. About the thumbnail, it changed a bit, but I'm not sure if it'll stay like that. Also, good morning to Mr. Taishokukin Deitore, 60代年金繰り上げ受給者の挑戦, Mr. Sora and Mr. Waishima. Good morning, Mr. Ore89XP. Good morning, Mr. Yoshi. So, the Dow is going down. So, as for the overall trend, first, crude oil prices have gone up. Then, interest rates have also risen to 5.3 on the 30-year bond. That's the situation, so the overall trend is downward. Also, only semiconductors, specifically the area referred to as the AI infrastructure side of semiconductors. The Anthropic's quarterly revenue have reached numbers we've never seen before, so that sector is rising. I think that's the right way to understand it. In short, that's how things are. Well then, I'd like to get started. Now, let's begin the fastest US stock market commentary in Japan. So today is August 18th and the Obon holiday has ended. I'll be talking about the US stock market on August 17th. This week we have retail earnings coming up. First, there's Walmart, then Home Depot, Lowe's, and also Target, those kinds of companies. They will be announcing their earnings. So when we ask whether consumer spending is strong, it actually seems like it's weak. I think consumers might be struggling. That's how things are right now. Stock prices are declining. And according to the news, investors want to assess the resilience of consumer spending and spending trends. However, there are also talks that Anthropic is taking all the attention, and I think that's where the funds are being drained. Meanwhile, 4 sectors are rising with energy being strong. Today, crude oil prices went up, creating a somewhat uneasy atmosphere. Also, communication services, consumer staples, and consumer discretionary are weak. And the 10-year yield has risen, so since the end of last week, it's at 4.73. Right now, the 10-year yield is at 4.73, which is up by 0.05 since the end of last week. As for the 2-year yield, it's at 4.19, up by 0.06 as well. And as for Anthropic's quarterly sales, well, I think it was in October. If they go public in October or November, they'll be getting even more attention than SpaceX. People will be wondering where OpenAI has been all this time. Their sales have surged to $11.5 billion. That's $11.5 billion, which is just under 2 trillion yen. This is their quarterly revenue.
いや、すごいですねということで、確かにクロードは素晴らしいなと私は思うわけですけども、得意不得意はあるかと思いますけども、そして、四半期ベースで 2.5 倍に売り上げが増えました。それで、10月だったかと思います。10月か11月に上場するということになるとですね、もう大注目とスペース X 以上の注目になると、オープン AI は一体どこにいたんだろうかということになるわけですけども、これにオープン AI が加わってですね、果たして
all the funds might end up going there. That's the situation we are in right now. Now then, I'd like to take a look at the chart. First, as for the Dow, it was dragged down across the board and it went down. Currently, it's at 58,488 with 242.56 and 0.45. The previous day's closing price was 53,732, so I think it's safe to say it's much lower now. The highest it managed was 53,640 and the lowest was 53,400. So the price range for the day was 250. It's been moving very well. That's how it looks on the candlestick chart. It's trying to go down and it is going down. But since the rise was also sharp, you might think that if you wait a bit, it could go up again. However, if crude oil prices and interest rates go up and it reaches 5.3, then I think it might be a bit tough, but it's hard to say for sure. As for the heat map today, everything is buzzing around Anthropic related stocks. Among these, Caterpillar seems to be the most closely related. It's up by about 3. Cisco is up by 1 and Nvidia hasn't gone up much. It's up by 0.2. On the other hand, as for companies that seem to offer similar services like Microsoft, Google and Amazon, though I'm not sure about Amazon, those companies have seen a decline and software also went down. That's about all I can explain here. And then there was the next one. Next is the S&P 500, which went down by 32.00, 0.41. Currently, it's at 7,754 compared to the previous day's figure of 7,785. It might have been slightly higher at some point at 7,790. So it kept going down and now it seems to be at its lowest point, which is 7,750. The range for the day is 40. Right now, at the lower end with high interest rates, is a bit tough, I think. That being said, there's no real reason to sell either. So I think if you choose the right stocks, it should be fine. I also think the high interest rates were pretty much expected. So just keep a close watch on things. By watching this video or something like that, I think it's something you can handle within your means. So that's how it looks on the candlestick chart. But for now, it went up, well, it went down a little, but it's still staying at a high level. But you know, interest rates keep coming up in every conversation. So when people ask if things will go up from here, honestly, I don't really know. And as for Nasdaq, it went down, minus 73. It's minus 86, minus 0.28, making it 26,729. Wait, no, that's not right. 26,000, hold on a second. The number is 26,000. This one is 26,657. Yes, so this is the correct one. That 26,729 number is not right. Down here on the lower right, in small numbers, it says 26,656. That's minus 777. That's not right either. Minus 77.61. That's correct. Does that mean I just need to update this? Even if I update it, it doesn't change. So I think it's safe to say that the number on the right is correct. I think it's also safe to say that the big number at the top is wrong. So that's how it looks in Roskashi. Well, that's about it. It went up, it went down, that's how it is. However, after a big increase, it's been moving sideways. This is difficult, so some people might think it's a buying opportunity. It's a bit hard to say it's a sell. At best, it's a sideways range. That's what I think. And as for the Russell 2000, which is small cap stocks, it went down slightly, minus 0. It's at minus 0.4. And then the high yield ETFs are at minus 1. So it's at minus 1.2, which means it went up and then down. As for high yield bonds, I think they are staying at a high level. Looking at the heat map, overall the impression is that the rate stands out. However, only the AI related and AI infrastructure related sectors are going up. I think that's a fair understanding. Nvidia is at plus 0.3, Microsoft is at minus 3.1, Apple is at minus 0.0, Google is at minus 0.6, Meta is at minus 3.6, and Amazon is at minus 0.9. Another notable one is Micron, which is at plus 4. Yeah, I guess we should have bought it after all. That's how it feels. Then Marvel is at plus 6 and 3D Systems is at plus 8.7. Western Digital is at plus 4.5. Seagate is at plus 2 and Applied Materials is at plus 5.5. Lam Research is at plus 3. If I keep reading, it's all pluses. Elementap is at plus 5 and Amphenol is at plus 2.7. Corning is at plus 5.5. GE Vernova is at plus 2.0 and Inton is at plus 1.3. Caterpillar is at plus 3. I've basically talked about all the related areas. On the other hand, software is down, with ServiceNow standing out at minus 4.8. It can be summed up in one word. Anthropic took it all. Then ExxonMobil is at plus 0.8 and Chevron is at plus 1. Oil stocks are also rising, with Chevron at plus 1.4. Just because oil stocks are going up, does that mean everything is fine? That's about it, I think. That's just my personal opinion. But putting that aside, as for retail, this week is retail earnings, but they don't seem to be that strong. For example, Home Depot is down 0.0. TJX is down 0.6. These two have earnings this week. I wonder where Walmart is. Ross Stores also has earnings, but it's down 3.6 and it's kind of being sold off. I'm wondering where Walmart is, but I just can't seem to find it in Luma. But probably not. Yeah, since it's not here, I think I'll just move on to the next place. And as for economic indicators, there's nothing in particular to mention. So the New York Empire State for August, Empire State. There's something called the Empire State Index, which is the New York Industrial Index. Basically, the Manufacturing Business Conditions Index. This time is 20.6, with the forecast being 10 and the previous month at 15. It was 0.6 and there were no particular comments. There is just one comment though from Mr. Ditch, the Economic Research Advisor at the New York Federal Reserve Bank.
デイツさんによると、
Manufacturing activity in New York State is expanding at the fastest pace in over 4 years, and employment is also continuing to recover gradually. In addition, delivery times have become significantly longer. He mentioned that securing supplies is also getting worse. If there is talk that the economy is doing well, it's all because of AI investment. I wonder if that's really. Okay. Next, I'd like to take a look at the exchange rates. As for the exchange rates, the yen is slightly weaker, but there haven't been any major movements. First, Bitcoin has risen by about 2.3%. Currently, it's at $64,425. In Japan, that's 10,176,113 yen. About the future, I think we're in the second half now. As for the dollar index seems to be trying to break lower. As I've mentioned in the evening update, what exactly is America doing? In the Iran war, they haven't achieved a single thing. And because of that, the Gulf countries are already fed up. That's the situation now. On top of that, when it comes to the presence of the US military, it feels like things are heading toward a review of the alliance. So, in the Middle East, if America's allies keep disappearing one after another, things will become extremely unstable. So I don't think that's good for Japan either, but that's how things are. The dollar index has gone down. I don't know if it will keep going down from here, but if you watch it daily, it might go up sometimes. However, in the long term, I think it's probably going downward, but the dollar-yen rate is gradually going up. Right now, it's at 159 yen and 42 cents. The yen has weakened by 8 cents. As for the euro-yen, the yen has weakened by 27 cents. It's gradually going up. The same goes for the British pound yen, with the yen weakening by 26 cents. For the Australian dollar yen, the yen has weakened by 42 cents. For the New Zealand dollar yen, the yen has weakened by 28 cents. For the Canadian dollar as well, the yen has weakened by 8 cents. For the Swiss franc, the yen has weakened by 72 cents. The Turkish lira is as you see, so. And regarding the South African rand, it's also been moving within a reasonable range. I think that's about right. And as for crude oil, it's at around $84. WTI is gradually rising, sitting at about $84. For Brent crude oil, $90.69 is the new figure. Since that's the number now, the trend is the same, but with it going over $90, it's getting closer to 100 like during the most intense period of the Iran war. If you ask if there's a good way to solve this, the answer is not really. But that's the situation we are in right now. So the semiconductor index has gone up, and today, thanks to the news about Anthropic, it went up a little, up by 1.5%. So if you look at the overall picture, or if you line everything up, that's how it is. Overall, it hasn't increased much, but some stocks have risen sharply. That's the situation. The main issue is interest rates. First, the 2-year treasury is at 4.18. This tends to be linked to the policy interest rate, so there's no problem there. But for the 10-year treasury is at 4. It has risen to 4.72. And the 30-year bond, surprisingly, is at 5. is now at 5.30, which means we've entered a very dangerous level. Amidst all this, ASO had good financial results and well, something like 4 times. If it's going to be 4.2 times, then what do interest rates matter? That's why it's going up, but overall it's really not good. Should we get out now or what should we do? Or maybe include oil stocks in a portfolio? Even with stable consumption, when interest rates get this high, you have to wonder. Maybe it's about whether to move funds out of the US. That's how it seems to me. We're at that level now and the upward trend is continuing. And if you ask whether the current administration can implement policies to lower interest rates, I'd say it's a bit doubtful. And that's how we arrive at the number 15 for VIX. It went up just a little, but not by much. I think we're entering a season where it will start to rise, so please be careful. Also, even if we update the Fear and Greed Index now, it's at 60, so there's nothing particularly noteworthy. As for the put-call ratio, it's at 0.77. Well, I think there might be a slight change, but it doesn't really show up on this chart. It's very subtle. Since positions are being built up during a period of good fortune and prices are rising, if the market moves in either direction, it could move significantly. I can't say for sure whether it will go up or down, but I have a feeling it might go down. What do you think? As for the value to growth ratio, there's nothing in particular to point out. There's not really anything that stands out or indicates a clear trend, so I think that's about it. Also, gold continues to rise. That's right. Even though interest rates are rising, gold is still being bought. Well, this may be an indication of the decline in America's geopolitical presence. It may also be an indication of inflation, and right now the number stands at $4,419. And then looking at the copper to gold ratio, gold prices are also rising. So there hasn't been much change. And now let's review what I talked about on Bloomberg News. Starting with the latest news, crude oil prices have risen slightly. And then there are signs that supply will continue. Here it says that supply will continue. Right now, there are very few tankers passing through both the Strait of Hormuz and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. There are special methods like turning off the transponder, and there are shuttle tankers that only pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Then they transfer the cargo in the Gulf of Oman and export it from there. So they are going through these troublesome procedures. At the very least, supply is being maintained, but it's not enough to meet everyone's demand. That's the situation. It said the S&P 500 will likely surpass it. Also, the US housing index only showed a slight improvement. I didn't talk about it today, but the NAHB housing price index has been released. There's nothing in particular to mention about it. Also, the dollar has fallen to its lowest level in 3 months as weak economic indicators and expectations for interest rate hikes have shifted. That's true, especially with things like the CPI. And then there's the New York Fed's Empire State Manufacturing Index, which showed a very high number. Also, Mr. Thiel's hedge fund is said to have acquired a major stake in Argentina's leading oil company, Vista. In addition, there's talk of a shift in leadership among Chinese stocks, with CXMT now becoming the company with the largest market capitalization. So I wonder if companies like Kyoxia will go up again today. And there's talk that 8 trillion yen has flowed into India from overseas Indians. Then there's something about the SEC and public pensions, and Berkshire is increasing its holdings in Delta Airlines and Alphabet. With stories like that, I think this is what happens when management changes. Personally, I wonder about Delta Airlines right now, but if you think long term, maybe it makes sense. So, I like to talk about individual stocks, but which individual stock was it again? Speaking of individual companies, first of all, there isn't anything particularly noteworthy about the financial results. As for notable stocks, first is Cerebras. When it comes to Cerebras, yes, that's right. Speaking of Cerebras.
Oh.
That's right. Well, there's no point in saying that's right here, but it's an infrastructure company that makes next generation AI chips. I think that's a good way to put it. And there's a story that it was revealed they strengthened their partnership with OpenAI. How was this revealed, you ask? It's not about Anthropic. Regarding Cerebras, there's something called ChatGPT 5.6 Sol. It turns out that it became clear that it supports the ultra-fast relay for that. Honestly, I don't really understand what I'm talking about myself, but in any case, it's proof that the partnership with OpenAI has been strengthened. This was reviewed through the product. I think it's safe to understand it that way. Yes, so next is Hive, Hive Digital Technology. Recently, they've been working on developing data centers, and Bus HPC has been involved for 5 years and 3 months. They signed a GPU contract worth $500 million. That's the story, and as a result, the stock price is up 16%. Also, alright, Cerebras is also up 16%, and then it's not Intuitive Surgical but Intuitive Machines. This was selected for multiple satellite communication infrastructures. Today, it was selected for multi-satellite communications infrastructure program worth over $600 million. So with that being said, after receiving approval to proceed from the customer, the company will use its IM1300 satellite platform to design, manufacture, integrate, and support multiple spacecraft. That's how it was conveyed, but to be honest, I don't really understand what they're saying. Anyway, the stock went up by 5%. Well, I guess something good must have happened. But if you ask whether there's anything easier to understand in other news, well, I still don't really understand, but that's the story for today. The stock price went up because of that. And after that, well, there's the matter of L3 Harris. For some reason, the chairman and CEO was suddenly dismissed. The reason isn't clear, but that's what happened. It seems like it was probably something personal, yes. They say it wasn't related to things like using company money, internal controls, customer relations, or business operations. And the stock price is down by 4. Right now, defense stocks are generally on the rise, so this drop might be due to the dismissal. Well, if he was dismissed for personal reasons, I think that's probably the case. Well, whether it's about some crime or something suspicious, I think it's something like that. Looks like a pen just flew over. Now, I'd like to take a quick look at the chart. Alright, so for today's topic first is Cerebras. Since it went public, its price has been falling, but it seems like it has hit the bottom and is now trying to rise again. Well, it's still a company in the red, so there's no talk about things like PE ratios yet. The upfront investments might become a burden, but there's no doubt that the demand is strong. Next is Hive Digital. It formed a double top and then dropped, but it might be trying to recover now. As for the 50-day moving average, oh, that's not it. Today, it went above the 200-day moving average. Next, about Intuitive Machines. Space stocks have been dropping sharply since SpaceX went public, but they are starting to recover around here. Their earnings aren't good, but I have a feeling they might go up. Space stocks are generally at this level, so I think it might be a good time to buy soon. But with high interest rates, I'm not so sure. As for L3 Harris, the stock price has been dropping sharply, but it might have bottomed out around here. I think other stocks might have also hit their bottom around this area. So that's the situation. As for stocks that seem to have momentum regarding SpaceX, it has been revealed that various companies are investing in it. Well, this was revealed through something equivalent to the large shareholding report in Japan, and that's why the news spread. I think that's a good way to put it, and that's the reason for a 4% rise in the stock. And Amazon dropped as a reaction to the Anthropic news, and Google also did. A 0.6% decrease, and Microsoft is also down today. As for Apple, it's almost unchanged. Well, Sandisk is up by 8 and it rose today, clearly breaking above the 50-day moving average. Normally, this would be considered strong, and it seems that the second act of memory has finally begun. I think it's reasonable to see it this way. As for the triple leverage semiconductor bull ETF, overall it's not that significant. Even the triple bull ETF was up 4.5. SK Hynix only saw an increase of 2. The ticker DRAM had an increase of 4. And the ticker Magnificent 7 actually dropped by 1. So today, Palo Alto Networks went down, which means a buy opportunity might be coming soon. I don't think it will drop all the way to the 50-day moving average, but it seems like a buying opportunity could come in the next 2 or 3 days. And then, also, even though interest rates are rising, bank stocks aren't going up. That kind of gives off a bit of a worrying vibe. That's just me thinking out loud, but as for Micron, it's up by 4, Nvidia stayed about the same, Intel went up by 0.9. The gains don't seem that strong. For the chip sector, it's not as strong as I'd expect. AMD is down by 1. And then, well, I think that's about it for now. Also, let's move on from here. Next is Europe with IEV down 0.2. EWG in Germany was down 0.4 and a minus of 0.4 in Poland, it's 1. It's a minus of 1.1. Well, there are various topics today, but the main point is that the rise in Europe is expected to continue for a longer period. So I think it's safe to say that this understanding is not wrong. Also, if we just look at South America and Canada, they are on an upward trend. Although they went down today, that's the situation. And as for Japan's interest rate, it suddenly rose to 2.92 now. So this has become a serious issue and it looks like it's finally aiming for 3. Well, if America is in this kind of situation, I imagine Japan will probably follow and rise as well. That's the feeling I'm getting. So what should we do? Maybe we should pull back from everything except bank stocks? That's the kind of atmosphere it feels like right now. And then regarding South Korea, well, there's a topic of memory, so the Nikkei average has been rising and the closing price on Friday was 69,220 yen.
そこからですね、だいたい200円くらい下がったかなと。現在は69,018円という数字がついております。それから、こっちじゃなく、こっち。あと、経済指標に関しては、
The NAHB was at 35, which was better than expected, and the New York Federal Reserve's Empire State Manufacturing Index was 20.6, which was exceptionally good. That's the situation. When it comes to this week, that's the story. That's right. So, I think there isn't a specific number for this. You could say there aren't any 3-star items.
います。デイリーラインは特にこれという話はなくということで、何か変調があるわけではないので、ひょっとしたら上かもしれないし、下かもしれないと。
That's about it.
ムルゴーメン様のお告げも今のところはないということだと、決算ですけども、今ここまで開いたので、これからっていうふうになると、いまいちこれという、
However, by this time tomorrow, I think that's how it will be. So what about AI and so on? And then there's Klarna. Recently there have been talks about upgrades and such, but that's where things stand. And then I think Home Depot's earnings will be in the spotlight. This will show how retail is doing. But with interest rates being high right now, it's not looking too good. It's possible that the results might not be about the earnings themselves, but if there are good earnings, there's also a chance the stock could jump up. That's the situation. So it's now 4:59.19. Let's wrap things up. Let's review stocks with strong earnings so far. I'll take a look through everything and then wrap up. By the way, today is August 18. I talked about the US stock market session on August 17th. So as I mentioned, we are waiting for the retail earnings reports and stock prices have somewhat declined. The reason is that interest rates are rising and also crude oil prices are going up. In addition, Anthropic's revenue is rapidly increasing. So, related to that, there are AI infrastructure stocks connected to AI. These are going up, so I think that's about it. Overall, it's kind of underwhelming. So, the earnings were good. That's how it is. I like to go through all the stocks, read the comments later, and that's how I like to proceed. Just looking over them in this past week. I'm wondering if there's anything that looks worth buying, but with interest rates being high, it's mostly just bank stocks. Anyway, let's take a look at them one by one. First is PriceSmart. It's been going up for a while now, but here. Well, it's not really a major correction, but it did go down a bit for now. So I think people are buying on the dip. There's a possibility. Also, there's an earnings report this week. Well, actually, it's not this week, but this week is already over. Since there's an earnings report like this, I think people are also taking that into consideration. And as for Hanyu, it kind of feels like he's lost his energy. So it's become a range. And I think we don't really need the chocolate cycle anymore, but it does seem like it's hit the bottom for now. And as for Hershey, the chart looks like this. I don't really feel like I want to buy it. I'm not so sure. And as for American Electric Power, it's related to AI, but it's still in a range. And as for Crocs, after it went up high, it took a bit of a break. As for DuPont, it's been in a range. That's right, I wonder how it will go, but it seems like it will stay in the range for now. However, if the dollar eventually weakens, it will be a tailwind. There is a possibility, but it's a bit uncertain. As for Armor Sports, it's currently in a range and I can't really say if this is a deep buying opportunity. I think there's an earnings report coming up soon. Actually, it's said that the earnings will be announced on the 18th. As for Casey's General, it has shifted from an upward trend to a range. As for Prologis, logistics seem to be performing well. I'm not really sure if this is a good buying opportunity or not. And as for Next Era Energy, I think it's in a range. I vaguely remember hearing that natural gas prices are going down, but I also vaguely remember hearing that inventories are low. And as for Google, it also seems to be in a range. As for Ascenten, after it went up, the next phase might be a range. That might be the case, so it could be time to take profits. As for Cadence, it hasn't gone up after dropping, and for Celestica, it's either ranging or getting weaker. As for IonQ, it's going up around here. Even though they missed their earnings, it's going up regardless. That's the situation. As for CVS Health, after it dropped, it's been moving sideways. Overall, that's how the consumer sector is. It's kind of gloomy, like a cloudy day. That's the kind of feeling I get. As for Shopify, it shot up after the earnings report, but after that continued rise, today it took a break. Now, people are asking if this is a good point to buy the dip. Considering that it's based in Canada, well yeah, that's how it is. It might be okay to buy or maybe not. As for Workday, there was talk about an acquisition if I remember correctly, and then the price shot up. Now it's taking a bit of a break. There's a possibility that the volatile movements will continue. As for Zoom Video, it seems to have recovered a bit. And with that, it's almost time for the earnings report. So people probably think the earnings report will be good and that's why the price is going up in anticipation. That's a possibility. But yeah, it's also possible that once the earnings report comes out, the stock could be sold off. But if you look at it from a long-term perspective, it seems they've recently found things to work on, so that's probably why the price is going up. As for Ebe After, it seems to be staying within a relatively strong parallel range. As for Nvidia, well, it's a bit tough, isn't it? But stories like today's are gradually spreading little by little. If that's the case, Anthropic delivered excellent financial results. So, there's a possibility of a connection. But for now, things remain calm. As for Okta, it's been staying at a high level. Regarding Elastic, it shot up, or rather it made a big move. As for SentinelOne, today the cybersecurity related stocks went down. And regarding Costco, well, we'll have to see. Yeah, I guess it's not so bad as long as it's not going down. That's how I see it. As for HPQ, even though it's been relatively strong, it's going down today. And as for Snowflake, I think it's fair to say that despite today's situation, it's holding up really well and not dropping much. It looks like a good point to buy on the dip, though I don't think there will actually be much of a dip. Today might be the dip and a good buying chance. And then about buying the dip on Salesforce, I almost forgot to mention that, so I had to say it. So just to be clear, I'll read the second part. The opinions and views expressed in this content are those of the individual posting them. They do not guarantee future results or profits. Cover the key points but also read the other information. Now let's return to the topic. As for the Salesforce, I'm trying to get back to it, but in the end, that's how it is. It does take some time, doesn't it? Today it's down today on the Anthropic story, but as for Dicom, well, it might not necessarily need to be included here. That's what I think, but as for Zscaler, it seems like it's trying to recover. So for the past 2 days or so, it looks like it's forming a nice bottom, so I feel like I missed out. I think it's a good option as a cybersecurity stock. But then there's the issue of interest rates, which I'll talk about next. As for Marvel, it went up by 5 today. I feel like there was some news about it. I have a vague memory, but I can't quite recall what the news was about. As for Best Buy, it seems to be performing relatively well. Dell has been staying at a high level and went up again, so it seems to be strong, although it's down today. And as for Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, I think its price movement is similar to Dell's. And as for Samsung, although it went down today, the overall trend seems to be strong. I think that's fine, but well, interest rates are high, so that's probably a factor. As for the date entry, I think this indicates strength. Is today a good point for buying the dip? That is a possibility. As for Planet Labs, well, I guess that's how it is. It looks like it has bottomed out after dropping, but the rebound is weak. The same goes for Sienna. So today it went up a little, which means it's been rising for 3 sessions. And what about 5 below? It hasn't updated its third highest price. It's taking a bit of a break now. As for Viva Systems, it's still strong. I think this is a good opportunity to buy on the dip. If you buy CrowdStrike in about 2 days, I think that would be good. That's the kind of atmosphere it has right now. As for Medtronic, I think it's relatively strong around here, especially in healthcare, and has probably hit the bottom. That's the kind of feeling it gives off. As for Palo Alto Networks, it's also showing a continued upward trend within a normal wave pattern, so that's how I understand it. As for Broadcom, I have to say that I don't really understand it very well. As for Lena, it's kind of crawling along there, so if interest rates seem likely to go up a bit more, it's just moving sideways here. Well, it seems more likely to go down, and although RH is doing well, I can't really say for sure if this is a buying opportunity on the dip. And as for Seiraku, it has gone up after dropping, so it feels like it's gaining momentum. Campbell Soup is in a stable condition. Well, maybe it's okay to buy this slowly. I think there's a possibility that funds might take refuge in this area.
思います。
And as for JBidu, well, yes, that's right. It seems like it's trying to recover after dropping. FedEx Fleet, well, it's kind of just, not doing much. And it's hovering around the price it had when it first appeared. I think that's a fair understanding. And about Wise Group, well, that's about how it is. It feels like there might be some ups and downs, leaning one way or the other. Darden Restaurant showed up again, so I have no idea what's strong about it, but for now it's considered strong. And then there's Micron, which bounced back and started to rise from here. So, well, I have a feeling it might keep going up from here, but that's just me. It's not necessarily the case. Also, interest rates are high and so on. Well, there is talk like that, but it feels like Act 2 is about to start, and I do have a feeling about it. As for KB Home, it's doing well considering the high interest rates. As for FedEx, it's staying at a high level. As for Delta Airlines, well, it's more like a dip or a pullback. There is a possibility that it could be a buy, but whether you should go in and buy or not depends on how good you are at reading the market. I think that's about it. And then as for WD, I bought it at 40. Well, it jumped up after the earnings report, but after that, it went down. Yes, that's what happened. Well, it's not at the lowest price or anything like that, but it's staying above the previous low. It's moving in this range again, and will rise once people forget about it. Well, that's a possibility, I suppose. As for PepsiCo, it feels like it's just barely hanging in there. Regarding Levi Strauss, well, it has gone down, so that's where things stand. As for Kura Sushi, yes, that's right. Well, I guess it's starting to recover. It's said to have this characteristic of rising periodically. Well, it's formed a double bottom. It's been going up a bit recently, but if it's down today, then maybe, just maybe, it might go up again. That gives you some reason for optimism. About Travelers Inc., well, yeah, it did go up, but as for insurance, I just think it's probably going to stay strong. With high interest rates, I think insurance isn't a bad option, but, well, that's how it is, and so today, or rather these past few days, it's been going down. As for Intuitive Surgical, that's right. The worst may be over, but it might not be the kind of stock you want to buy in a high interest rate environment. It's said that Bill Ackman bought it, and that's Netflix, but recently it's been turning upward. And as for Abbott Laboratories, well, healthcare looks strong. I think that's fine. As for the GE Aerospace, it's staying at a high level. TSMC, well, it's okay if it goes up today, and it actually went up by 1 today. It seems safe to say that it's relatively noticeable. That's the kind of impression it's giving off. As for United Health, one phase has ended, one market cycle has finished. Now the question is whether to take profits or not. That's where we are right now. As for JB Hunt, it's staying at a high level and the outlook seems strong. Johnson & Johnson is also staying at a high level and it feels like it might be on the rise. And regarding Morgan Stanley, not Microsoft, interest rates are staying high, but if interest rates go up and the stock price doesn't rise, that's a bit of a problem. If interest rates go up and the stock prices of these banks don't rise, it could be a bit risky. So I think we need to be careful about that. As for ASML, it went up today. However, it's not at its highest price. As for Fastener, it shot up once and now it's taking a break. As for Wells Fargo, it's moving very slowly. So I don't intend to say much about just one day's movement. But I think it's generally on an upward trend. Wells Fargo is easier to understand than Morgan Stanley, which does many different things. I think the rise in interest rates will be reflected more directly. Bank of America also fell slightly today, but the overall trend is still strong. I think there's a possibility that it will rise along with the increase in interest rates. The same goes for JP Morgan. If something unusual happens around here, we need to be careful. As for Goldman Sachs, it's been moving sideways. As for Citi, well, it goes up and down. For now, it seems to be strong. As for Air System, it suddenly went up, and there was some thought that maybe it's also related to AI, but honestly, I'm not really sure. Still, let's at least look into it and see what we can find. AEHR Test Systems. Oh, it was AEHR. AEHR. Right, so if you ask whether there's any news or not, there's news that Jefferies has newly started investing. And then, there is also news that they have received additional orders for wafer-level AI test systems worth $22 million. And then, I think this was on the same day. No, actually it was a different day. They also received another order from another customer, a silicon photonics client. So I guess that means orders are steady. That would make it look that way, yes. And then, so I'm not really sure if it's okay to buy or not, but the stock price does seem to be going up. And then, let's see, this is American Express. But when it comes to consumer spending, especially in America, there are some concerns. However, I don't think global consumption is that weak. So I think it might be okay to buy on dips. As for Verizon, it's been on an upward trend recently. As for Intel, despite high expectations today as well, the stock price is almost unchanged. So I can't help but wonder when it's finally going to wake up. As for RTX, it kind of feels like it wouldn't be a bad idea to buy it. Yeah. Well, I guess it's also because there aren't enough missiles. And then, regarding United Rentals, I think it's fair to say they're doing well. They're a rental company like Nikken Lease in Japan, which is pretty well known. They mainly rent out construction equipment and similar things. If they're getting a lot of orders for AI data centers and related projects, but with today's earnings report from Anthropic, it was really impressive. So if we can judge that the demand will continue, I think it's a buy. As for IBM, its stock went down today, so it feels a bit harder to buy right now. On the other hand, this one definitely seems easier to buy. That's how it looks to me. And as for ServiceNow, I think we can judge that it's forming a dip, so eventually, there's a possibility that today's talk about Anthropic will be forgotten. So around that time, these stocks will probably go up again. I think it's safe to say that this area looks pretty solid. And as for Google, well, it's a bit hard to say whether it's in a range or something else. Oh, right, the stock that Berkshire is buying. And as for AT&T, it's been on an upward trend recently. GE Vernova is also staying at a high level. As for 3M, it shot up this morning and well, it feels like it's taking a bit of a break now. So there's a possibility that it could be a buy the dip opportunity. As for Chevron, it's still on an upward trend. And if you consider the dividends as well, I think it's a good opportunity to buy. So I think it's reasonable to imagine that this could be a good buying opportunity. As for ExxonMobil, it's been moving within a range, but I don't think it necessarily has to stay in that range. Just the fact that it's in a range makes me think it might be a bit undervalued. That's how I see it. As for Linden and Gas, I felt a bit uncertain about them. As for Eaton, well, it went up today, so that's good. It's one of the related stocks. And Amazon went down today. Apple also went down. And as for MasterCard, I think it's holding steady. I vaguely remember hearing something about Bill Ackman buying it, but I might be mistaken. And then regarding Chipotle Mexican Grill, well, maybe they're involved there, but that's about it, I guess. As for Hatton Restaurant, it's a bit different, so I can't really say much about it. Regarding Starbucks, the turnaround story is still ongoing, and the stock price has been performing steadily. As for Fortinet, well, it's like, even though it's supposed to be about cybersecurity, it's not quite on the level of Palo Alto Networks, but there is a possibility that it's at a dip. As for Meta, I can't really say for sure, and Microsoft, well, after going up for a while, is now taking a break. As for Humana, I think it might be a good time to take profits, but I don't think holding on to it as it is will lead to any losses. And regarding PG, it's at the bottom range, but there is a possibility that the downside is solid, though it might not be. And if it looks like the dollar will weaken in the long term, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. As for Amphenol, it continues to go up and down, but it's still holding up well. Regarding Visa, among credit card companies, Visa seems to be the strongest. Well, today might be a good buying opportunity on a dip. And as for KLA, well, that's right. I don't think it would be strange if it ran up today. But compared to others, it hasn't really gone up. It might just be lagging behind. And as for Seagate, well, it's starting to rise steadily. So I think it might be okay to follow along with it. But I also think it might be a bit risky to put in a large amount all at once. As for Corning, well, it dropped. A pretty big drop. But it's starting to recover. If it goes above the 50-day moving average tomorrow, I think it might be okay to buy. Of course, I can't say for sure if it will go up after buying, but just putting that out there. And as for UPS, yeah, it doesn't seem as strong as FedEx. Coca-Cola is strong. I think this might be good. As for Boeing, it's been going up and down. And as for Nucor, it's been staying at a high level. And then regarding Cloudflare, it's been rising very noticeably. So today there might be a buying opportunity on a dip. And regarding Twilio as well, yes, that's right. It's a similar situation, but for these kinds of stocks, I do think interest rates play a role. And then regarding Alessian, it didn't shoot up or keep rising. Today, it took a break. And then regarding Unite also shot up. And after that, buying continued. So it's on an upward trend. Oh, is that so? Well, as for F-Beauty, it's also showing an upward trend like this. As for Western Digital, well, it did go up for now, but that's about it. Well, if we watch for another day and it goes above the 50-day moving average, there might be more buying coming in. SanDisk went up by 8 today, and today it went above the 50-day moving average. Well, this one looks the strongest, so yeah, I guess it would have been good if we had bought it last week. And as for Mercado Libre, well, yeah, with US interest rates being high, and regarding Fastly, yeah, that's about it. For now, over the past month or two, it's been going up. It's not at its highest point though. Regarding Uber, well, yeah, it's kind of at the bottom. That's how it is. And as for Shopify, it shot up this morning and then took a break. As for Eli Lilly, even on a day like today, it's going up. So, well, this is it kind of feels like it might be okay to buy. Thank you somehow. Thank you to all 10 people. So maybe a little time has passed now, but yes, thank you very much. And then you. Thank you, Tanzan. And then about Digital Turbine. Oh, right. This morning it shot up. And well, now it's taking a bit of a break. Well, maybe in about a month, if it gets cheaper, I think it might be okay to buy. And about Kratos, regarding defense-related stocks, well, recently they've been on an upward trend. So I think that's definitely the case. And regarding Booking Holdings, since crude oil went up today, travel might be weak and maybe that's what people are thinking. But overall, it seems to be steady. So it might be holding up well. Well, honestly, I don't really want to touch travel stocks right now. Well, there's a possibility that prices will move first, so I like to take things a bit more slowly. That's how I feel about it. And as for Alista Networks, things are steady. Is it okay? Well, this drop might be a buying opportunity, but with high interest rates, I feel like oil stocks, not crude oil itself, but oil-related stocks might be better. As for AMD, well, that's how it is. I do have some expectations, but it hasn't really gone up much. However, from the point where it peaked here, the atmosphere has changed, so we are looking toward the next rise. It's possible that right now is just a resting period before the next upward movement. And regarding Akuniti, it has rebounded, which is good to see. And as for Merck, it's surprising but it's hitting new highs. I do think it's expensive but it's still going up. And regarding McDonald's, it dropped sharply today. I hope this is the bottom, but we'll have to see how it goes. Well, I guess I'm hoping for their marketing power to come true. Caterpillar went up today, so if memory related stocks rise in the future, I think this area will go up as well. So I think this might be a good time to buy. That's how I see it. As for Pfizer, it has recently surged, so healthcare is strong. Regarding Palantir, after its rise, it's taking a bit of a break today. As for Applied Materials, well, that's right, it's up today. Well, this one also feels a bit like it's lagging behind, so if semiconductors seem strong going forward, I think this one will also come up. As for Cisco, after the earnings report, it dropped sharply and still hasn't recovered from the shock. But there might come a time when it goes up again. And also, if interest rates rise, that's another factor to consider. If you think of it as having some characteristics of a value stock, it can be a bit hard to decide how to approach it. As for Enibusu, it shot up sharply after the earnings report. And as for Kiaba, it also went up after the earnings, but now it's taking a break. And as for Kwabibu, after it went up, it's been moving sideways, kind of in a state of indecision. As for Elementum, or rather Ementum, it continued to rise today, so it seems strong around here. I think it will probably break its all-time high soon, so it seems like it wouldn't be a bad idea to buy it. However, interest rates are an issue, which I'll mention next. As for Super Microcomputer, I don't really want to touch it, but from where it went up, it's staying at a high level. As for Mark Shin, it's not really a cash is king situation right now. So I think the market is telling us that now is the time to take risks. And this week, there's an earnings report for BJ Wholesale Club. It's a place kind of like Costco. Well, it doesn't look too bad. And as for Ross Stores, it dropped sharply today. I think their earnings report is this week, but for now, I guess there are people who want to sell before the earnings announcement. I see. As for Deere, it's been staying at a relatively high level. Regarding Alibaba, that's right, what was it again? Quen, their AI, I think they had an AI service. Well, the gap with the US is also narrowing, and since the cost is low, there might be a movement where people start switching over. And if that kind of news comes out in the financial results, there's a possibility that the stock could shoot up. Well, if it's short term, I don't think the Chinese Communist Party will say anything. So if it's just for the next 3 days or so, there might be a chance to buy. That's the kind of stock I think it is. And as for Walmart, well, I get the impression that consumer spending isn't that strong right now. Well, it does seem like things are tough, and you can clearly see that in the chart. But from here on, I just hope that with the company's efforts, they'll manage to do their best. This week, the earnings report is for Zim, a shipping company whose stock price has been rising. And then regarding Estee Lauder, well, it's pretty much moving sideways. And as for Lowe's, it feels like it's crawling along at the bottom. As for TJX, it's completely in a range. So it could be a buying opportunity on dips, but it seems like there's no need to make any predictions before the earnings report comes out. Target also has its earnings report this week. And while the stock has been going up recently, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. I think the management reforms will gradually start to show their effects. Honestly, I think it could be worth more than it is now. And as for analog devices, well, when you think of semiconductors, what they're using seems a bit removed from AI, so the upward momentum in stock price hasn't really reached them yet. I think that's a fair way to put it. As for Keysight Technologies, their earnings report is coming up this week, and I think there's a chance it could turn out to be something to look forward to. Yes, well, this is at a high level, but I get a feeling it might break out upward. This is Pony AI, which is an autonomous driving company, and their earnings report is coming up soon. As for the stock price, it's not doing so well at the moment. Right now, people are focused on things other than autonomous driving. And as for Klarna, I heard recently that it got an upgrade. There was a period when it dropped sharply, but lately it seems to be recovering. What do you think about this? I'm not sure whether their main battleground is Europe or the US though. If I remember correctly, it's a BNPL company from somewhere around Sweden or Norway. Since it went public, its stock price dropped, but for now, it seems to be recovering. This week, Baidu reports earnings, but its stock isn't performing well. That's how things are. As for Home Depot's earnings, well, interest rates are high, but even so, I think it's holding up pretty well. If there are any signs that interest rates will reverse, the stock could really take off from here, but for now, I'm not so sure. That's about where things stand. As for L3 Harris, well, today we talk about L3 Harris. Yes, that was today's topic. Now it's 5:28:40, so I think I'll wrap things up around here. What do you think? Looking at the charts, there were a few stocks that looked like they could be worth buying, but when it comes to actually buying them, I'm not so sure. In that case, it feels like buying crude oil might still be more stable. But then again, crude oil has gotten expensive too, so that's where things stand. And good morning Maruma-san, Akifurake Haima-san, Himemon-san, Yuyu-san, and Taojiji-san. And also Bonzu-san, CLS-san, Zerowa-san, 28 people, Hiromi-san, Tamutamu-san, and Katsu-san. Otsukare Oji-san, Miracle Miriru-san, and Toshi. Good. San, Shibacha-san, well, today was about semiconductors again. As for crude oil, what do you think? Well, from here on, it actually seems more likely that prices will rise. Inventories are extremely tight, this is what the membership people said, and it's a very severe, even dangerous situation. That's how things are, and most people don't really know. That's the situation we're in. By the time people realize it, it might be like a boiled frog situation. Right now, that seems more likely, but honestly, we can't say for sure what will happen. I just wanted to mention that. Also, good morning to Chirio 1970-san, Gun-Gun-san, and Enba23. And also, good morning to Dong-Game-san, Fab Musashi-san. And good morning to Jacko-san and Emba24. The trading volume is low. Well, it's summer vacation after all. Also, good morning to Sanin-san, Kenichitaro-san, Kabukozo-san, Cafe-san, Shiroyosagi-san, Ludu Daniel-san, and Fab-san. And also, good morning to Kamado Haitatsuin-san, Kita-san, Yahoo Tarzan-san, and My Nippon 55-san. Well, I wonder, considering that the interest rates are high, it's a bit, well, there's no doubt that growth is happening though. And yeah, that's right, something like that was written there. It was also written like that in the notes. So with that being said, the company that actually develops and provides the wafer scale AI processor, the WSG3, which turns an entire silicon wafer into one giant chip, well, I think that's the correct way to describe it, as an AI chip infrastructure company. And then Dr. Katsura, Kenkei-san, Keizu-san, Nekozuki-san, and Rondobel-san. And then, Tsuyoshi-san, Kenkei-san. Is that initial distribution payment? I see. And then Yahuza-san, thank you very much. I feel like I mentioned that earlier. Ebanjo-san, that's right. Well, if the interest rate exceeds 2.9, then this is a bit... I kind of want to say, come on, Japanese government, do your best. But then again, maybe they'll sell something fallen and hope that will get people to buy Japanese government bonds. But if they buy US government bonds and the interest rates on US bonds go up, I guess they wouldn't like that either. So, I wonder what's going to happen. Are we at a dead end? I wonder. I'm not really sure. And then Daisuki Tai-Tai-san and My Nippon Go-Go-san, I see. Did you buy Nippon Building Fund? Well, with these high interest rates, it seems like that's the main thing, but... in the current situation, yeah, I wish there was some sign that interest rates would drop or turn around. But for that to happen, I think US interest rates would have to go up and reach a peak. So unless they find a way to bring down US interest rates a bit, that's how it's going to be. Maybe we should hope for something from the Jackson Hole meeting and just hang in there for 10 more days. That might be our best option. Well, REITs have gotten a bit tough, haven't they? I feel a bit weighed down by that too, but in the long term, I'm sure that rents will definitely go up. Yeah, that's about it for now.
5時32分44秒になりました。
I've just given you the fastest US stock market commentary in Japan. Well then, thank you for watching. Oh right, I don't think I mentioned how much the Dow actually dropped in the end. So here's how the Dow ended up. 2.630. It ended at 53,459, down 0.51. And as for the S&P 500, it just kept dropping and ended on a sour note at 40.70. Minus 0.52 at 7,745, and that's how it ended. As for the Nasdaq, it might still be moving, but oh, this isn't reliable. Regarding the Nasdaq, looking at it somewhere else, the Nasdaq is right now
マイナス 84.25 のマイナス 0.32%。
it ended at 26,644. So, well, this chart itself is correct, but the numbers at the top are wrong. Well, that's about it. I think that's good enough. That's right. Also, yes, as for Nippon Building Fund, it's a 4-letter code, but the rent is definitely rising. Well, it might take a little time there, I guess. So it's now 5:33:56, and I've just given you the earliest overview of the US stock market in Japan. Well then, thank you very much for watching.
ございました。